right, welcome guys. Welcome to Coffee with your number one fan. I'm hoping everybody has their cup of Joe with them, so I'm sure Mike doesn't. You know, he's just sitting there, looks like on his back porch. So that's fine. That's fine. I have 2 young kids, so I need coffee. All right, so everyone, we want to just welcome you. The format of this is the first one we're going to do. It's actually going to be us recording small little segments of information that Mike and I can gather. Hopefully throughout the week, we'll pop out a couple of videos, you know, when we can find kind of that spare time. The goal is anywhere from 5 minutes to 10 minutes at the max. So I don't want you to think that this video is going to be 30 minutes and before you know it, you need 5 cups of coffee. So the goal is maybe a couple of
they already checked to see how long it was going to be before they decided.
I'm sure. And they already stopped. They're like, who are these 2 dudes that haven't shaved in couple of weeks now? So with everything going on, obviously we wanted to kind of bring you up-to-date information that we see it from the title perspective. We want to help you guys in any way that we can to help that so that you don't have to go and worry about gathering all this data. So for this call, we want to discuss some of the lending guidelines that are kind of going out there and that we're hearing about at this point in time. So Mike has been doing a lot of the research on this topic for this week. So Mike, what's, you know, from your perspective, what's going on when it comes to the, you know, with the lending impacts? All I keep hearing is that nobody's going to lend anymore, but you know, what's the reality?
No. It's not that dire, but it's certainly already having a considerable impact on employment. We're seeing record unemployment rates, and we'll touch on that in a moment. It's had an impact on business itself. Supply chains are certainly affected. And they're saying, you know, what we're reading is that there's an increasing probability of pretty profound impacts on the U.S. housing and mortgage markets. And, you know, I have to say, a lot of the information from today's presentation I did get from Black Knight. They did a special briefing that they put out just the other day. It was a really excellent article, and hopefully we can put a link up to it or you know, give them some kind of direction to that afterwards.
Definitely.
The rising unemployment rates have already resulted in a significant surge in COVID-driven forbearance requests, and the associated, you know, challenges that come with that operationally, and the increased mortgage defaults that are likely to follow is something that, you know, as an industry we really need to prepare for. And you know, it's starting to trickle down now, where we're seeing lenders tightening up some of their restrictions, and I think that's going to get worse, not better. You know, leading up to the pandemic, we were in such a rosy place, and the speed at which the pandemic came on, I would say we didn't have time to prepare for it, and so I think we're working through that now. I mean, leading up to the pandemic, early in 2020, the mortgage market was in a historically positive place. There's no question about that. The national delinquency rate was at its lowest point on record in January of 2020. Foreclosure starts were at their lowest point on record in February of 2020. Record levels of homeowner equity since the bottom back in 2012. Low interest rates. Record levels of available equity. They've helped to spur this refinance surge that we felt in late 19 and the beginning of 2020. In fact, refinance is accounted for, the number varies, but it's significant. I've heard up to 57% of all lending in the fourth quarter of last year.
Hey, Mike, let me jump in real quick. You indicated the low interest rates. What, you know, obviously, you know, me from, you know, a guy over here in Pinellas County, I hear low interest rates. So you jump in, you call a broker, and then they say you can't get that low interest rate anymore. I mean, have you seen that to where it's all of a sudden you hear it in the, you know, it's down to 0%, but as soon as you call, you're getting quotes for 3.8 or 3.1 or whatever it is.
Well,
so
there's a couple things.
Maybe it's just me.
No, it's not just you. It's not that they don't want to lend to you. There's a couple things going on there. On one hand, I think lenders are begging off some of these loans. I mean, they're drinking from a fire hose too. And one way to slow down the pace is to increase your rate and have people shop elsewhere for a little while until you can right size. So there's been a little bit of that. Also, I would say there's a lot of volatility just based on the news we're getting daily. The market is up, the market is down. There's a new program being pushed. These loans, these PPP loans that everyone's hearing so much about, these Paycheck Protection Plan loans, they're great for the economy, but they're overwhelming the lenders. The SBA lenders that are actually offering them are overwhelmed with volume. So, you know, traditional lending in some cases has been put a little bit on a back burner to a degree. It's all relative, but right now they are very busy, and that's part of it. But the spikes up and down have a lot to do with just responses to what's going on in the news too. Low interest rates, that they had pushed home affordability to about a 3-year high, and that increased buying power. It drove up demand on already limited inventory of homes. So that's resulted in upward pressure on home prices. You add the interest rate volatility, and you know you've got a volatile effect on affordability and purchase demand in general. So it's going to be like this, I think, for a couple weeks at least, Chris, where you know it's unpredictable and the rates change seemingly daily.
Yeah, it's almost like you just need to, you know, lock in a rate. If you know the home you want to buy, just do it. Or if you're going to refi, I mean, because we don't know what's going on in the future. So
well, and that's
as
the
we all are uncertain.
That's the challenge, is finding the rate and locking it in time. And, you know, and the swings have been pretty significant. So, and I'll give an example of that. Let's see. I think I can pull that up. Let me see. This, again, came from that Black Knight package. Okay, so the math is changing, all right? So the jumps in the 30-year rates have shifted the affordability landscape. And like I said, it's almost on a daily basis. You know, you're hearing about rates going up and coming back down and then going back up. So listen, these stats are pretty crazy. The payment required to purchase the average priced home fluctuated by $138 a month, which is basically 13% over a 2-week period recently. So it's hard for homeowners to gauge how much home they can qualify for. And that challenge you mentioned, Chris, about when do I lock in that rate? Mm-hmm. So it was cool how in the thing I read, they gave an example. So they said if a homeowner qualified for a $1,075 a month mortgage on March 5th of this year, they could have purchased the average price U.S. home of $313,000 with 20% down. Less than 2 weeks later, 30-year rates reached 4.15%, and that same homeowner would have only qualified for a $276,000 home. That's a $36,000 reduction in buying power in that same 2-week span, right? I mean, that's a big deal.
And that's huge. That's huge at that price point. I know that they gave
that,
absolutely, you know, math specific, but that's a huge jump. So crazy.
So one thing to talk about, I think, the unemployment concerns that are affecting us right now. I mentioned earlier that unemployment had spiked, and you know, just to say unemployment spiked isn't properly sort of putting this in perspective. On March 26th, we saw a record 3.28 million Americans file in a single week, which eclipsed the Great Recession peak. I mean, greatly eclipsed the recession peak of 665,000 back in March of 2009. And prior to that, the record had been 695,000 in October 1982. So we had 3.28 million in a week. The following week, another record-breaking 6.6 million Americans file. It's getting
crazy,
out of control quickly. I mean, the unemployment rate jumped back to 5.5%, and it's climbing. So Goldman Sachs is projecting unemployment as high as 15% in the second quarter of 2020. I've heard anything from 20 to 30%. So it's certainly going to have a direct impact on mortgage delinquencies. I mean, that's a pretty cut and dry cause and effect relationship.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that. I mean, when you jump all the way from a 3% up to 15 potentially, I mean, that's massive, you know, across the country. So, yeah, it really kind of makes you kind of, yep. So, crazy.
So,
well, Mike,
yep.
No, go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, I think that the government is going to continue to try and find ways to alleviate some of those pressures, and a lot of that will take the form of stimulus, and the quantitative easing, and everyone's hearing about the different loan programs, and I think there's more of that to come. They're talking about a couple $100 billion more. Then on one thing I read,
what's another $1 billion? Come on,
exactly.
Just another.
But I had also read yesterday that we've tapped out one of our sources of federal funding. So I don't know. It's a daily thing we have to keep up with.
Crazy. Well, with that, with a little bit of downer news there, why don't we end this segment on a fun note? Each video, we're going to try to say our best dad joke. So, Mike, do you want to go first?
I'll go first. I'm going first. Did you know?
There's a reason I'm laughing.
Because it's so funny. Preemptively, you're laughing. Did you know that French fries weren't actually made in France? They're made in Greece.
You probably got that from a smart guy. Probably. All right, my best joke that I have off the top of my head. So,
off the top of
my head, I'm not looking at anything. What kind of horse does a cowboy ride on the beach? A seahorse.
Yeah.
Get it? Because the seahorse, it's near the ocean. It's near the beach. Get it?
I think we should have this.
Yeah, they already logged off. Yeah, they already logged off. So, all right. Well, thanks, Mike, again for the information. We'll continue to try to grab as much data and info we can to provide.
Sounds
Have a great one, guys.
Bye, guys.